dreams. We provide farmers and ranchers with timely insights and information aimed at improving their operations. Join me, Chip Flory, weekdays at 10:06 on Central Illinois Ag Station, WHOW.
You're finding Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guests in studio today, Clinton Mayor Helen Michelassi. Good to see you, Mrs. Mayor. How are you?
Great. Thank you.
Thanks for coming out. Tony Harris, Clinton City Administrator. Tony, how are you, sir?
Good, Seth. How are you doing this morning?
I'm all right. Thanks, guys, for coming out and talking with us. Always good to have you in studio. We follow up the Tuesday night Clinton City Council meeting. And Tony, it is budget time. How are things looking on the budget side of things?
Yeah, the budget was officially passed and starts on May the 1st. And a couple of things that are actually in my side of the budget. You know, when you talk about the budget, there's different. You know, I've got some line items. Street department's got some. It's kind of a working piece with the treasurer for different department heads. And in my line item, one thing that is that we budgeted for is the block by block program, and the mayor will talk more about that. She's kind of the lead person on that project.
Mm-hmm. And
then I'm the lead person on the Concerts on the Square series. And so we can talk a little bit about that real quick. On June the 26th, a tribute band for Toby Keith. The band's called Honky Tonk U. And then on July the 24th is Voodoo Exiles. It's a Rolling Stone tribute band. So those are two that we have planned right now. And that, again, that's part of the budget process that was approved. And those are already set on those dates that I told you. I'm working on one more act. What we thought we would do is kind of move into this slowly. This is something that was done previously, but we took a break for several years. There's one more that I'm trying to plan. It's going to be more of a Nashville act if I can get it together. We're getting kind of late, but I am in discussion with them now. I can't give any details out right now, but hopefully at the next time I'm here we can announce that. So it's going to be a good one if we can get it going.
Yeah.
But with that being said, we've already started working on next year. There's a lot of discussion on spending the money for the bands and things like that. All the commissioners, including the mayor, they're in agreement. We want to see Mr. Lincoln Square utilized, and that's one part of it. So we're starting now for next year as well.
Yeah, gotcha. Do you want to go back to where we get kind of that up and coming person? We were fortunate to get some really solid acts up here out of that side of the music industry. Do you foresee us going back to that, Tony?
Yeah, I do. I mentioned that we've already started for next year. When you get an act like that, you have to start early, like a year, really over a year in advance to get that. I mentioned the one that I'm working on now. It is a Nashville act, but we're kind of late in the season, so I'm not totally sure we can get this person yet, but we're working on it. But yeah, that's the hope, and the thought is, a Nashville act and maybe also some cover bands to fill in. We just have to think about this more next year on the how many bands we want to have. I talking to the commissioners and the mayor, we think it's kind of overkill to do one every weekend. But right now we're going to have two for sure, maybe one more, and then next year we'll expand on that.
Gotcha. Very good. So put some cash in the budget for that one for this year.
And those Nashville acts are very expensive.
Yeah, they are. I remember that.
It ends up costing a lot of money, but that's a good thing. It's what we want to do for the citizens of Clinton and utilize the Mr. Lincoln Square, because we're very fortunate to have that square, and
sure.
We want to see it utilized.
Sure. Very good. Well, on that note, when it comes to other aspects of the budget, anything stand out in terms of projects or anything of that nature, like road work, things of that nature? Anything come to mind, Tony?
Yeah, there's some. I wasn't directly involved in it, but Steve Lobb, our public works director, he's got some money in the budget for repairing roads and things like that, so he is working on that. There's some projects also included on parks. There's been some discussion on a couple of new parks that's being worked on, and we're in the early stages of that. We're still talking about the final location on the parks. Commissioner Ballinger mentioned a dog park, and that's being discussed as well.
Let's talk a dog park. Where would this go? What are you thinking?
We're not totally for sure. I don't believe yet. We're in discussion right now, trying to nail down a location. But we're in the very early stages. I'm not totally confident that could happen this year. It could, but if not, it would be next year. But that is being discussed.
What would a dog park even look like, do you think?
And Helen can talk more on this too, because I think she's getting a lot of requests from citizens on a dog park. I've gotten a few as well, and I foresee it being a grassy area with a fence around it, definitely a fence around it, and other than that, I'm not sure how it's going to.
What do you think, Mrs. Mayor?
Well, it'd have to be segregated. You have to have a spot for the big dogs like I used to have, and I think that you have one, Seth, as well. And then an area for the little dogs so they don't get stomped on. You do have to have some shade. You have to have, places for bags where they can pick up after their dogs and throw it away. And that's where the city comes in as well, is who's going to monitor that and who's going to do all that. I think it could happen possibly by fall. I don't know, but I think it's necessary for a lot of folks who have reached out to me. And we have a few spots. We have some empty lots in town, right?
Yeah.
That the city already owns.
Would this be an extensive thing that would I don't know if you would think about like some sort of a turf, artificial like grass or something of that nature, or would it just be as simple as some fencing, few benches, some waste stations, and that, or what? Like, I don't know, how involved do you want to get with this, guys?
And my first reaction to that is natural turf, is to leave it as it is. But we're new, the city of Clinton, to dog parks, right? So we're going to have to get some more information from people who know a lot more. We've had a lot of input from people who are familiar with the area dog parks. So that information is useful as well.
Right. Sure.
And the mayor and I took a road trip and visited a community with the TIF district. And while we were looking into that TIF district and a potential developer, one area did have a dog park. So we drove through there and we did see that, and it gave us some ideas as well. But again, like she said, we're in the very early stages of this. The city knows nothing about a dog park, so we'll have to do our homework and try to figure it out.
Is that something you put in the budget for next year then, Tony?
Well, some money was put in the budget for parks and recreation,
and that would be a part of that.
That would be part of that. Now, we don't have any concrete numbers on what's going to cost yet, but as far as I know, it's budgeted.
Yeah. Also budgeted, Tony mentioned, Mrs. Mayor, is your block by block program. What's the latest with this?
Well, I wanted to let everybody know today that by mid-May, and I think we said the 11th, Tony, we'll have applications available at City Hall. So folks who have a piece of property that maybe needs a little help, if they pick up that application, fill it out, bring it back, I will reach out to them and go to their home and meet with them, get their input. What do they think they need and want, and what the city could maybe participate and do with them.
Okay.
Then we would do an estimate on that. If we need supplies, need a dumpster, coordinate all that, coordinate some volunteers, and get to work. What I want to say today is we need individuals, families, organizations, businesses to start reaching out to me right now if they want to volunteer.
Okay.
Because that's what will make or break this program.
Sure.
Is having those volunteers. So they could call me. I think everybody in Clinton, Illinois already has my cell phone number, but
do you really want to do this?
Oh, yeah.
Put yourself.
My personal cell is on my business card.
Oh, okay. Oh,
so
your city business card?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So,
wow. Courageous in that way, Mrs. Mayor. I tell you. Very good. So with that said, you want this kind of ball rolling by mid-May, but doesn't the new budget year start in June?
No.
May 1st.
May 1st.
Oh, it starts May 1st.
May 1st.
Oh, forgive me.
So
Sorry
we're
about
good.
that.
Yeah,
I've been around this long enough. I should know this. Sorry.
So
Sorry about that. Now, remind us what this program is all about, what it does. How about that?
What it does is if a family has some stuff that they've gathered around their property and they don't have a dumpster, or maybe they don't have physically the ability to clean it up or haul it off, we'll come in and help them do that. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
So if you have a house and you're looking at a pile of stuff, we can have a dumpster brought into a neighborhood and maybe do 2 or 3 houses in a day or two and clean up folks' yards, cut back the bushes, pull out the bushes, whatever needs to happen, maybe plant a few flowers or give them a flower pot, anything they feel to beautify their property and clean it up.
Sure.
It helps everybody when we do that. And most people that we have talked to, and Tony says this often about you need to kind of clean up your property. They say, I'd love to, I can't afford a dumpster. Or I'd love to, but I can't physically go out there and do that. So let's go out there and do that.
Sure. Very good. And like the mayor just mentioned, Tony, this kind of adds on to that beautification effort, the cleanup effort that you've been, you've taken on in the last 18 months since you've been on the job. I can't believe it's been 18 months, but here we are. How about that? How about that side of it?
Well, yeah, again, that just goes right along with the city ordinance. It's no secret that we talked about our ordinances and cleaned those up a little bit, requiring, clean, sanitized properties and properties looking good. And that just kind of goes hand in hand with that. And, there's times where I've had to go out and, have a conversation with the homeowner because of the shape of the home or the yard, and again, like the mayor said, that's what I get, I would like to get it cleaned up. I can't afford a dumpster. So this is where we're going to step in and help, like she said, help with the dumpster and volunteers. So, it's
how much do we budget for this year?
I'll have to look. I don't have the numbers right in front of me. Because that was budgeted along with some other home improvement things as well. So there's like three parts of this: the block by block, the TIF facade program that is not in place yet, but we plan on putting that in place. We can talk more about that here in a little bit. And then homes that aren't necessarily in the TIF district where we can help with the facade. When I say facade, new siding, new windows, things like that to improve the home. There might be some help for homes that aren't in the TIF district. And, we haven't got the TIF district boundary lines nailed down yet. We're further along than what we were last time I spoke. But there's like 3 projects that we're working on just to beautify the city of Clinton.
Makes sense. Very good. Anything on the budget, friends, we didn't get to today you want to put out there for us?
Solid waste contracts. What that is, that's basically the city owned property that we, that was approved. We were required to take bids for that process. And that's, our city hall location, the parks, the square, things like that. And it's just a process. We have to put it out for bid every year. And that
who did we go with this year?
Well, it's 3 companies. It's GFL.
Oh, that's right.
JNS, and the new one this year is Republic Services. And that.
Giving everybody
good.
a little
That's
business.
Good. We could have just went with one. Took the lowest bid on all of them, but we wanted to, we wanted to spread the work out and with all 3. And I think that's being responsible for the city of Clinton.
Yeah, be a good partner with those businesses. Sure, that makes a lot of sense. Very good, Mrs. Mayor. Anything on the budget from your side of things?
No, I'm glad that it's passed and we've moved on. And I sure appreciate Clint and Tony and all the directors there that work really hard. We have a lot to do. And that all goes back to that budget.
Yep, very good. Well, on that note, maybe we'll dive into some of the things to do that Mrs. Mayor mentioned. We'll talk about those and more next with Tony Harris and Clinton Mayor Helen Michelassi following up the Tuesday night Clinton City Council meeting. More to come on the morning show.
WHOW.
We cover Illinois ag better. Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn steady, beans slightly lower, wheat slightly higher. May corn down 3/4, 453.5. July corn down 1/4, 462.5. December new crop 482.5, up 1/4. May beans down 3.5, 1161. July beans down 3 3/4, 1175 3/4. November new crop 1154 3/4, down 1 1/4. May wheat up 2 3/4, 602. May bean meal 323.40, up 280. May bean oil down 52 cents, 71.16. Livestock trade April feeders 366.20, down 60 cents. April live cattle down 1/4, 246.60. May lean hogs down 67 cents, 94.37. Energy market June Brent crude oil 102.94, up $1.03. You're listening to the RFD Radio Network.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guests again in studio today, Clinton Mayor Helen Michelassi and City Administrator Tony Harris, as we follow up the Tuesday night Clinton City Council meeting. Friends, a saga that seems to never end is the search for a city hall, fire station, police station. What do we know?
Well, I think we can't say a whole lot because again we're still in the early stages of it. But I'm comfortable saying that I think we've found location for all three.
I would agree with that. I think we have, and now it's a matter of talking to the people that own it, or if the city owns it, what that looks like. And it's also talking to the folks at fire and police again to review what they need in a facility, because we did that before. This can has been kicked down the road.
Yeah.
A fireman told me at the expo this year when I talked to him, he said, I joined the force the fire department 32 years ago, and they told me then we were going to get a new building.
Yeah.
So I can just assure you that we're done kicking the can down the road, and I think we have three places.
Okay.
I think we found it.
We have three places, which tells me we're building all of these in separate locations.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
When we say three places, one place could accommodate two of them. But again, we're still looking at that. We're still looking at that. We still have a lot of homework to do. We're confident on these locations, but that's really all we can say right now because there's been a lot of work that's went into this. The mayor and we've been working on this since she took office, and I'd only been here for a few months, and there's a lot of work that's went into this. And we have identified other locations as well, but we had to look into it. We had to get engineers involved. Well, will this work? Will this structure work? No, you have to tear it down. So, but some of those locations, by the time we tore the building down and purchased the land, it was just too much. We couldn't afford it. We had a long conversation with Clint, our treasurer, and he gave us numbers. He said, this is where you got to be. And we know what those numbers are. Now we just got to make those numbers work. And that's going to be a challenge. I'm here to say that's why we're talking, like she mentioned, we're talking to police and fire. We know the number. They have to know the number as well. And we have to work together to make, we want to get everything that they need. Everything they need, and then we can build on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We could build the Taj Mahal, but it would cost a little bit, right?
Correct.
Before, when somebody and several folks in town have mentioned to me, when they talked about the new facilities, they said it was going to cost the city $20 million. I don't have a number today what that's going to cost us, but I can tell you it's less than half of $20 million.
I was going to say, with
those.
building multiple locations, we'll just put it that way. I feel like that would be more expensive than just putting everything into one facility.
And here's the thing: if you have City Hall and right next door, either attached or unattached, is your police department, because they interact together often on enforcement. So they're basically right there. And the fire department is at another site. You don't really want all your emergency services at one site anyway. That's what we've been told.
Oh, okay.
If anything happens to the fire department, you'd at least like to have the police department or vice versa, right? And not have them all on one site. But police and city next door.
This next question is very much like way down the road. But what happens to the current City Hall building?
Well, there's been some early discussions on that too, and we haven't even approached council yet on that aspect of it. But there's been some preliminary discussions, and we do have some different ideas. But it won't be a building that's just going to sit unoccupied. I can tell you that.
Right, and I can tell you it's not going to come down.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
In my opinion, and again, 1 of 5 votes, right? I can tell you I'm never going to say that building comes down.
Okay.
We will repurpose that into a useful purpose, and it can't sit empty.
For the city, or would you look to sell it to someone who would turn it into something useful?
I think I can confident. My opinion would be work with a developer to develop that into something. about, if we sell it or whatever. But
Mhm.
again, it's not going to be torn down. It's not going to sit unoccupied. We will start speaking with different developers and ask them what's your idea here. If you could get this
Mhm.
building, what
We have
would
to
you like to
preserve
see?
the building. though.
Yeah,
But
sure.
there's a lot of things we got to think about, when we talk about that parking. Parking is a big challenge up there around the square. So, if we decide we're going to sell the building, we need to know what's going to go in there so we can accommodate the parking. So that's being discussed as well.
Gotcha. Very nice. Well, I'll tell you what, continuing on, was there anything out of council meeting on Tuesday y'all wanted to highlight?
I did want to mention, I talked about my portion of the budget, and we also have money in there to continue our efforts on demos, and I had someone call me the other day, and they hate to see the buildings being torn down. Trust me, we do our homework on this. We would love to rehab buildings, but sometimes they are just in such disrepair that they just can't be saved. And that's the case with the building at Main and Monroe. And I want to let the public know that was voted on as well, that we did identify a demo crew, and that building at Main and Monroe is very, very dangerous. There's roofs down, one side of the walls down, and we're going to be taking that down here in the near future. I would say in 3 or 4 weeks we'll be starting that.
We talked about this last time.
We did.
Okay.
So we finally made it through, and that's that's taken a lot of my attention, because it's not just as simple as tearing it down. It's connected. It could be very likely connected to 2 other buildings. And, it's a tedious job. And I think we've got the right contractor that's going to take care of that. We're going to bring a structural engineer on just to make sure we're not damaging. We need to make sure that we're considering the other buildings that it's attached to. But, we've got money in there for that. But again, my view of this first, we just don't want to be tearing down buildings, but sometimes we have to. But we're looking very strongly at rehabbing the building as well, if we get them.
Very good. 30 seconds. What'd I miss?
Harold Weinberg, our former optometrist here, the tree commission is doing his tree planting this Saturday at 10 a.m. at the Arboretum on, I think it's East Main, and a reception will follow over at the library.
Did you see your sister was on earlier talking about that?
No, I don't listen to her.
Said like a sister.
Yeah,
She was
on.
on earlier talking about that. So
Good.
very good. All right, guys. Hey, thanks for coming out. We'll see you in a few weeks, Tony. Appreciate you.
Seth.
Yep, very
Thank
good, guys.
you.
Clinton Mayor Helen Michelassi, Tony Harris, Clinton City Administrator, our guests in studio. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance.
WHOW.
The Big 1520 WHOW Clinton, along with 92.3 FM Clinton and 1